Welcome back and thank you for joining us. It's time to review the front pages of our national dailies. We'll start with Daily Trust. 2027, Ganduje, Barau close ranks with Kano government, and that's on pages 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust. We also have National Assembly resumption tax laws, Electoral Act top agenda. You can read the story on page 13 of the Daily Trust newspaper. FCT grounded as workers' strike enters day 6, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Who indicted officers face death penalty. That's on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Osun governor demands release of 130 billion naira local government funds. That's on page 8 of the Daily Trust newspaper. We also have federal government to spend 30 billion naira on solar grids inverters. That's on page 23 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And lastly, bandits abduct 23 persons in Zamfara. That's on page 8 of the Daily Trust. Get yourself a copy and stay informed.
All right, next up, we have This Day newspaper right in front. We have APC to Musawa. Others avoid stoking needle speculations. Focus on your duty. Says alleged possible replacement of Shettima as Tinubu's running mate in 2027 speculative. That is on page 8 of This Day newspaper. We have finally military confirms attempted coup, identifies 16 to be court-martialed, says trial will ensure full accountability, adherence to principles of fairness, due process, declares actions aimed at maintaining military's integrity, operations and effectiveness. At the top we have Yusuf, 31 lawmakers and 44 local government chairs with many wearing Kwankwasia caps join APC. That's on page 19 of This Day newspaper. That is all we have on This Day. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
All right, next up, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. Residents on the brink as rents spike above yearly income in major cities, and that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. DHQ to court-martial indicted officers in coup plot, and that's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Don't let 2027 politics undermine governance. CISLAC wants a National Assembly. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Tax laws, NEFGAD demands probe sanctions over alleged alterations. You can read the story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have oil spill worsens in Ogoni 1 month after federal government intervention. That's on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. Adeleke orders APC officials to vacate local government secretariats. And so on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And APC tightens grip, sweeps Yusuf Mofwang Atiku's son in widening realignment. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. 15 million Nigerians consume illicit substances, Marwa declares, and that's on page 4 of the Guardian. And lastly, Soludo orders 1 week closure of Onitsha main market over sit at home, and that's on page 9 of the Guardian newspaper. Do all to grab yourself a copy and stay informed. And joining us this morning to review the front pages of our national dailies is Programs Director, Daily Trust Foundation, Dr. Theophilus Abba. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. So let's start with Daily Trust. 2027, Ganduje, Barau close ranks within Kano government. A lot of drama happening in Daily Trust. Sorry, I beg your pardon. In Kano State, being that we have seen, the governor officially defected yesterday to the ruling party, APC. What's your take on this?
Well, I think it's been speculated for weeks, since last year, and then it has come to pass that, let me say, the Kwankwaso's godson has now moved to the APC, so it has been actually something that a lot of people were thinking, how would it play out? Because Kwankwaso started the movement called Kwankwasia, and then it's like every politician or political supporter in Kano, must belong to the party where Kwankwaso is found in order to implement Kwankwasia. I want to talk about Kwankwasia. I think about the former political leader in Kano. This man who was started to be somebody who was fighting the cause of the ordinary person in Kano. So, you know, I think that's the kind of movement he started with. But now what we are seeing is that the reality of the 2027 politics is not affecting what I would call Kwankwasia. Even though we understand that almost everyone who defected was wearing the cap. But for the fact that you are doing a kind of realignment, the fact that you are leaving the party that brought you to power, you are leaving your godfather behind and entering a new political party, I mean APC, although it's going back to it was an APC before, it's actually returning to APC, shows that there is a problem. Now, the chaos in Kano politics will be sorted out, you know, between Kwankwasia, NNPP, APC, and others. But what disturbs me is actually what Yusuf said. He said that, look, Kano had no suffering because it didn't belong to the government at the center. If you read the statement, he said that, look, we were missing out. A lot of resources were not coming to Kano. You know, and I was asking myself, what kind of resources, I mean, does the center distribute that will not get to Kano? Because if you talk of FAC allocation, I mean, based on, they have their parameters for distributing whatever is earned, you know, for the federation. So Kano was receiving his own, both the state and the local government. And I was imagining, what else does the APC government at the center give to the state or the local government under APC that we don't even know? And I think that needs to be clearly explained. Because every governor that moved from the opposition party to APC will tell that, it is in the interest of the state. You know, in the interest of the state. Is there any layer of financial distribution? Is there any layer of, of benefits, you know, that APC enjoys that we don't know about? You know, it's something that needs to be brought out clearly. But then I know that everything's about Tinubu's 2027, giving him a thoroughfare. If you win Kano, if you win Lagos, if you win Port Harcourt, then you're already the president of Nigeria. And if you look at it, almost this is about 30th governor now, who is now APC. So we're expecting that it will be a thoroughfare for Tinubu in 2027. But then must everybody join APC? And then what is it that APC is distributing to governors that is so attractive? I mean, to state governments that are APC that is so attractive, that make it, that makes it irresistible for governors, to avoid. All of them want to get this thing. I don't know what is it they are getting. Even I understand the Plateau State Governor House is moved to APC. I understand I think Taraba State is also moving. And we understand even Adamawa is thinking along that. So what exactly is it that they are distributing that we don't even know? I think the government needs to come and explain to us, you know, because people are moving to the center, to the party at the center, because there are resources that are being shared to APC, states, which they don't access. What is that resource?
All right, let's look at this headline. I know that we've discussed it all through the show, but I'd like to hear your take on it. With the coup, indicted officers face a death penalty. Now, we've seen that the Defense Headquarters has brought out a report now. No fewer than 16 military officers have been indicted for plotting to overthrow President Bola Tinubu, are facing capital punishment ranging from life imprisonment to death penalty. And we've seen that last year these speculations were debunked, and now it's been we've been given a report that it really was going to happen. So let's hear from you.
Okay, actually, one of the things that Nigerians don't want to hear is a military coup. You know, for those who were under military rule from 1984 to 1999, you know that the military government is not the answer. You know, the military government is not the answer to our social, political, and economic problem. So we talk about military coup. You know, it's something that we don't want to hear. Even in countries where there have been coups, maybe because the president wanted to overstay his mandate. You know, in Nigeria we condemn a coup. We condemn such coup plots. So fundamentally, in principle, personally, I don't support a military coup. But then some people have, said, okay, if this thing happened, there has to be a thorough investigation. Now, I expect that, you know, the soldiers who have been accused of plotting coup will be allowed to defend themselves, number one, and then they'll be allowed to ask for lawyers, the counsel that can actually defend them, so that it will be very, very evident that it was actually a coup plot. Because a lot of people were saying, no, there was a coup plot. Say, no, there was no coup plot. There's nothing like that. It's just speculation. I feel last year. So let there be a clear evidence, you know, that there was a coup plot. You know, because taking somebody's life, you know, it's not something that will be handled with levity. You know, the kind of punishment that they will suffer if they are accused, if they are convicted, is very severe. And so there has to be, let me use the word fair hearing, then there has to be legal representation. They have to be given the opportunity to defend themselves, and there has to be very clear evidence that there was actually a coup plot. You know, I don't support anything that we call a military coup, but then for this, if they must suffer, let it be very clear that they engage in that kind of criminal acts.
Okay, let's take a look at this headline. FCT grounded as workers' strike enters day 6. We have seen a lot of reports concerning the strike, and it shows that official activities at the FCT has been grounded due to the strike. We also saw, you know, or rather we are in the know the schools are being shut down, offices are being shut down. You know, and a court is also going to rule today concerning the continuation of the strike by the FCTA staff. So what is your take on this?
Well, I think the minister must step up, you know, because the situation whereby the administration of the FCT is grounded is not good for the FCT. Perhaps if you calculate the naira value of what is being lost by this shutdown, it will be more than what will be used to settle, you know, the grievances, or to settle what the workers are asking for. If every day, for instance, the government is losing, let's say, 10 billion because the offices are shut, then we already must have lost about 60 billion by now, you know, after these 6 days. You know, and how much are the workers asking for? Maybe it's not up to this 60 billion. I think the FCT minister needs to sit down and say, okay, look, let's look at what the issues and then address them. It's not fair. It's not for the FCT. It is not good for the FCT to be shut down. And you know, this is not the first time that a strike that should not happen in the FCT. You know, there was a time that primary school teachers were striking for about 4 or 5 months, and primary schools were shut. You know, these are not the things that should be condoned in the FCT. FCT is like it's not like it's a federal capital.
Yes.
Everything here should be, should be done to a very high standard. So you can't have a system where there are grievances every day, people are protesting every day, people are going on strike every day, things are breaking down every day. That's not what FCT should be. So, I mean, the minister should wake up. I know he has the capacity to address issues, so he should not waver. He must, you know, before these things happen, you must address them. You must look at them dispassionately, set up committees to look at these issues and sincerely advise, and carry out the measures that would prevent this kind of breakdown. It's not good for the FCT.
All right, now let's look at this headline. As the National Assembly resumes, the top agenda is to review the tax laws and Electoral Act as their priority. Now, what is your take on it? And do you think that they would do their due diligence when it comes to these issues and not continue to be as people would think they are a rubber stamp and accept anything that comes their way?
Well, the National Assembly, they need to redeem, let me say, their image. They need to redeem its image, because when we discovered that when there were allegations that the executive tampered with the tax law, made some adjustments, you know, that weakened, supervision. Because when you say that National Assembly cannot supervise the tax office, that maybe another agency of government, you know, the original law was that National Assembly can call the Nigeria tax, the revenue, the head of the revenue office, you know, to account. You know, I think that was part of the original, and the national said, no, the national can no longer do it. And there are so many alterations, you know, and the national assembly was not even angry. No, they were not annoyed because it's like they accepted it. It shows that they agreed to be the kind of the rubber stamp of this, the executive that people accuse them to be, and it shouldn't be. You know, so we expect them to look at this clearly and ensure that the right thing is done. If there needs to be amendment, they have to amend it. And then when you talk about the issue of Electoral Act, we're expecting that the amendment to the Electoral Act that will reduce, you know, manipulation of the election results should be carried out.
Right.
You know, now that they are back, expect them to wake up.
Right.
And then
Thank you very much, Dr. Theophilus Abba, for reviewing the front page of our National Daily this morning.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right. That is all we have this morning. With that, we've come to the end of Daybreak. Make sure you stay tuned tomorrow at 8 a.m. so you don't miss out on engaging and interesting conversation. As always, thank you for joining us right here on Daybreak. I am Hawa Ademikiawa.
And I am Mimuna Bagudu. Follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news. Have a great day.